Hello everyone. In this module 29, we are going to discuss about Kohlberg's theories of moral development. After completion of this module, you will be able to know about the meaning of moral development and especially the Kohlberg's theories of moral development, and you may apply the concepts of educational implications in the Kohlberg's theories of moral development. Okay, let's see the concept. Lawrence Kohlberg's theory claims that our development of moral reasoning happens in 6 stages. The stages themselves are structured in 3 levels: pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. To understand this better, imagine a conflict at a school. There is a fight in the schoolyard. Two ninth grade are beating up Tom. Those who watch the fight are different stages of moral development. Let's see what they do and how they justify their behavior. At stage 1, we make a moral judgments based on the obedience and punishment. Finn's sense of good or bad directly linked to whether he is get punished or not. Finn sees what is happening to his friend and wants to help, but he doesn't because of he is afraid the teachers may punish him if he get caught fighting. He asks himself, how can I avoid punishment? At stage 2, we are motivated by self-interest. Mary decides to intervene and help Tom. She knows that she might get punished, but she also knows that she could become a victim of herself someday. If she helps Tom now, he might help her in the future. She is asking herself, what is in for me? At stage 3, interpersonal accord and conformity guide our moral judgment. Buddy sees the fight and wants to intervene. But when she realizes that all the others are just watching, she decides not to get involved. She wants others to see that she is a good girl who is conforming with the ethics of the community. She asks herself, what do others think of me? At stage 4, we value authority and want to maintain a social order. When the teacher sees the group fighting, he immediately steps in the shouts, stop fighting, at school in forbidden. He feels that above all it is important to follow the rules, otherwise chaos breaks out. He feels his duty is uphold the rules that sustain the functioning society. He asks himself, how can I maintain a law and order? At stage 5, we understand the rules as social contract as opposed to strict order. Jessie, who watched the farm, is not sure how she feels about it. To her, rules make sense only if they serve the right purpose. Obviously, the school rules prohibit fighting, but maybe Tom deserves to finally learn his lesson. Just yesterday, he punched a young girl from grade 1. She asked herself, does the rules truly own members of the community? At stage 6, we are guided by universal ethics principles. All those involved know how to face the headmaster. He first explains the school's rules and why they exist. He then clarifies the rules are valid only if they are grounded in justice. To continue to justice carries within it obligations disobeying unjust rules. The headmaster's highest moral principles is compassion. He believes that all the people should learn understand each other's viewpoints and that we don't feel alone with our feelings. He is under the abstract ethical principles ourselves understanding of justice. At the pre-conventional level, Finn is reasoned by fear and Mary her by self-interest. This from reasoning common children. At the conventional level, Petty responds to pure prejudice and the teachers follow the rules. Their morality is centered around what society regards as right. At this level, the fairness of rules is seldom questioned. It is common to think like this during adolescence and adulthood. At the post-conventional level, Jesse knows that the things are complicated because of individuals may disobey the rules inconsistent with reality. The headmaster follows the rules universal ethical idea to complete disconnect with what the society thinks are rules to say. To him, everything is solved through the compassion. The right behavior is in opinions that never a means to end, but always an end in itself. Not every person reaches this level. The American psychologist Lawrence Kohlberg his works on Piaget's theories of cognitive development. In order to confirm the theories of stages of moral development, the Kohlbergs interviewed the boys between the ages of 10 to 16. He analyzed how they would justify the decisions when they confirmed with the different hypothetical moral dilemmas. He will now present to the most famous moral dilemma Kohlbergs presented to his students. Let's see what you would do. The Heinz Dilemma. A woman was on her deathbed. There was only one drug that a doctor thought might save her. The drug is that made a particular medicine sold it for 10 times price of the production cost. The sick woman's husband Heinz was poor and could not afford to buy the drug. Not even with the financial help of his friends. Heinz they asked the pharmacist to sell it to him for half of price, but he refused. To save the wife of his life, Heinz broke into the main laboratory to store the medicines. Now tell us, should Heinz have stolen the drug? Would you change anything to Heinz to love his wife? What if the person's dying was not his wife but stranger? Should the police arrest the druggist for murder of his wife had died? Please write your answers and the justification of the comments below.
At this stage can consider solutions to the problem in a logical manner. Scientific reasoning is apparent in this stage. Kohlberg's theory. Students, we all agree that moral development is a major topic of interest in both psychology and education. One of the best known theories was developed by psychologist Lawrence Kohlberg, who modified and expanded upon Jean Piaget's work to form a theory that explained the development of moral reasoning. Kohlberg based his theory on research and interviews with groups of young children. A series of moral dilemmas were presented to these participants, and they were also interviewed to determine the reasoning behind their judgment of each scenario. Kohlberg was not interested so much in answer to the question of whether Heinz was wrong or right, but in the reasoning for each participant's decision. The responses were then classified into various stages of reasoning in his theory of moral development. Level 1. Pre-conventional morality. Stage 1. Obedience and punishment. The earliest stage of moral development is especially common in young children, but adults are also capable of expressing this type of reasoning. At this stage, children see rules as fixed and absolute. Obeying the rule is important because it's a means to avoiding punishment. Stage 2. Individualism and exchange. At this stage of moral development, children account for individual points of view and judge actions based on how they serve individual needs. In the Heinz dilemma, children argued that the best course of action will be the choice that best served Heinz's needs. Reciprocity is possible at this point in moral development, but only if it serves one's own interests. Level 2. Conventional morality. Stage 3. Interpersonal relationships. Often referred to as the good boy, good girl orientation, this stage of moral development is focused on living up to social expectations and roles. There is an emphasis on conformity, being nice, and consideration of how choices influence relationships. Stage 4. Maintaining social order. At this stage of moral development, people begin to consider society as a whole when making judgments. The focus is on maintaining law and order by following the rules, doing one's duty, and respecting authority. Level 3. Post-conventional morality. Stage 5. Social contract and individual rights. At this stage, people begin to account for the different values, opinions, and beliefs of other people. Rules of law are important for maintaining a society, but members of the society should agree upon these standards. Stage 6. Universal principles. Kohlberg's final level of moral reasoning is based upon universal ethical principles and abstract reasoning. At this stage, people follow these internalized principles of justice, even if they conflict with laws and rules. What are the advantages and disadvantages of stage theories? Students, we will now analyze each of the above theories separately and look into the advantages and disadvantages. Stage theories, especially those of Piaget, generated interest in child development and had an enormous impact on the future of education and developmental psychology, but they also had disadvantages. Erikson's 8 stages tended to focus on childhood rather than into consideration of cultural differences that may have affected the time during which an individual was in one particular stage. Potty training, for instance, begins at different ages depending on the culture. A popular criticism of Piaget's stage theory is that he underestimated the abilities of an infant. Studies have shown that infants have more of a capacity in memory and understanding of objects than he believed. While presented in a series of progressive stages, even Piaget believed that development does not always follow such a smooth and predictable path. In spite of the criticisms, the theory has had a considerable impact on our understanding of child development. Piaget's observation that kids actually think differently than adults helped bring in a new era of research on the mental development of children. Piaget's focus on qualitative development had an important impact on education. While Piaget did not specifically apply his theory in this way, many educational programs are now built upon the belief that children should be taught at the level for which they are developmentally prepared. In addition to this, a number of instructional strategies have been derived from Piaget's work. These strategies include providing a supportive environment, using social interactions and peer teaching, and helping children see the inconsistencies in their thinking. Much of the criticism of Piaget's work is in regard to his research methods.